help you help you with any information needed that you may have. So I'm going to go ahead and get started by playing a short video, and it may be loud, so I'm not sure. So give me 1 second. All right.
The future we're building starts with an idea, a vivid imagination, a daring dream. It's a world where STEM isn't a buzzword. We are phoenixes on the rise, driven to make breakthroughs and find solutions to problems yet to be solved. The ones with the passion, the grit to change the world. And we know that when one of us soars to new heights, we all rise together.
So I love that video personally. It gets me all excited. I'm like, yeah. But Florida Poly is, whether you know this or not, is a 100% STEM institution. We are part of the state university system. So some of these names on this slide might be very familiar to you. Maybe you've had family or friends go to these schools and you're really looking into them. But Florida Poly, we are the only one out of these schools completely dedicated to the STEM field. We are the newest of all of these schools to be added to this list and really to be built. So we are really progressing in that area, in the STEM field, to make an impact. Technology is on the rise, so we can all really say that that is taking over, which is a good thing. So one thing that is super amazing is in our 12 short years that we have been an institution, we are a #1 public college in the region. Out of all of the South colleges that we all know and love, we have been named the past 2 years the #1 public college. And we also have the ranking of the top 30 public engineering program without a PhD. The one thing I love to say about this is the other schools that are ranked in the top 30 that surround us in this ranking are schools that have been around for about 200 years. So it's really impressive when a 12-year-old school comes up and takes one of those ranking spots, and it really proves that we are making an impact. And we are #3 in Florida for top performance at a low cost. Everyone likes to hear that low cost word. So we are also top 5 tech university in the South. And being that we have very smart and brilliant kids, we have an academic profile. This is just a snapshot from our class that was admitted the previous year. But something I always like to say here is that we look at our students' applications holistically. And I can say this, I'm an admissions counselor, that we actually do read your applications. We read your letters of recommendation. We read your essays, and we look at your extracurriculars. We look at everything that you have done in your years of being in school and how you've made your impact. And we see how you could take that and make an impact here at Florida Poly. So if you don't have, that 1290, don't worry about it. Really still apply, still work towards that goal, of course. But, if you don't have that GPA, don't worry about that. We look at everything holistically. But we do have a wonderful acceptance rate, being at 44%. Some of their schools are like 17% that, are in our state university system. So we really are trying to grow and, produce the best students that we have. And so with that, we have our academics here at Florida Poly, which we dedicate ourselves to creating an environment here that allows our students to step out of the box. We want our students to create, to explore, to implement all of their ideas. Something our president of our university always says, President Randy Abbott, he says, engineering and STEM is not a spectator sport. You cannot learn how to physically do mechanical engineering or electrical engineering or computer science solely by watching someone else do it. You have to learn how to do this with your own hands. And with that, we have a very small classroom environment. This is one of our professors actually in a classroom helping our students through a lab and really dedicating their time and the resources to the students really learning everything that they can. And this allows our students to get the most hands-on learning possible and to actually practice with the technology that's out there in the workforce. And so this is our 3D printing machine that our students have access to actually, print things that they would like to do. If it's about the size of your fist, then you can pay, I think it's about $5 for their own little 3D printed model of something that they would like. We also have our environmental engineer students working in our sustainable garden, working towards providing a space where our students take care of these plants and provide sustainable resources by learning how to do that right there on our property. So that's really awesome as well. We have a STEM core here at Florida Poly. When you're thinking about other schools and talking to other four-year universities, a lot of them will say that you'll take about 2 years of general education classes, which usually equals out to about 60 credit hours. We only have our students take about 36 general education classes or 36 hours of general education classes, but we focus on you starting that hands-on learning in this STEM core. So in your physics lab, you're actually learning how to do a physics experiment right then and there. You're not just reading your textbook and taking a quiz. It is practicing. You're going to have a textbook probably, but you actually get to implement it right there, starting in the classroom. With chemistry, you're actually putting on your lab coat and going into the chemistry lab and practicing and learning everything visually right there in front of you. And with all of our programs of study, that STEM core is going to be the foundation. And so when you're picking your program of study or your major, you're going to have different concentrations underneath it. Now, I don't like the way that this slide is set up because it makes it seem like, if you only do mechanical engineering, you can only do those concentrations, but that's not true. So if you take mechanical engineering, you can also do like a concentration in aerospace, but you can also blend it a little bit with maybe machine intelligence under computer engineering. So you can sort of combine and blend concentrations as you would like and sort of fitting the needs that maybe you want to go into in your career, something like that. And also this is helpful when students want to change their major. It's college, you get to change your mind and pick a different pathway for yourself. So having that STEM core allows our students to be pretty flexible in fluctuating their program of change. And I wouldn't say go and change it every year, but if you change it 1 or 2 times, that's okay. It's not going to set you back because we have that strong STEM core as well. We also have all of our students, 100% of them will graduate with an internship. Internships are super important, and we are located right in the heart of Florida in Lakeland, and we are right in between Tampa and Orlando, and that is on purpose, and that is to make sure that we are in a centralized location so our students have access to these basically this tech hub in Florida, and to be able to have access to go there for internships. But your student can also go out of the state if you would like, just like Chelsea did. Chelsea was an electrical engineer here at Florida Poly, and she got an internships with a neuroanalytics company that actually she worked with them to measure emotions and attention to help optimize advertising and entertainment. So basically, she measured the brain waves and how you reacted to ads and entertainment in live time, which is slightly creepy, but it's okay. And people will pay really big money for getting that data and information. And so her taking that internship allowed her to expand her passion and her knowledge of STEM and really allow her to see the opportunities that she was going to have in the STEM field as well. Something else that sets our students apart is going to be the senior capstone. Now, you can think of your senior capstone as a 9-month-long senior project, but you aren't just making a make-believe project. It is going to be you partnered with a real company who comes to us and they say, hey, I have this real world problem. I need you to assemble a team of students to solve this problem within 9 months. And what you'll do is you'll meet with the company weekly and get all the information and update them on any issues that you're having or roadblocks or, positive, feedback to them to be able to develop this real world problem that might even go out and become a real thing in the world. Just like our planetary rover, our students have been partnered with NASA and creating a Mars rover that's actually 3D printed. And it's a marsupial that a mini rover will come out of, because that 3D printed mini rover, it allows them to 3D print in space. And if they need any extra parts or anything like that, they can actually print all of that in space. So it's in its about 4th year now of being a capstone project, because they're making modifications every year and making it better and better. So some of our students have to sign non-disclosure agreements, so NDAs, with these companies, so they're not allowed to talk about them because they are real things in the world. And this really allows our students to connect with these companies to potentially be hired, because that's the goal of going to college. And about 75% of our students will land a tech job within 90 days of graduating from us. And out of all of the state schools, we do have the highest starting salary out of all of them in Florida. And that is saying something about the tech field. People are really wanting to, grow in their tech development and all of that. But Florida Poly, we are also growing. We are adding new additions as much as we can possibly do. And we are currently this is our newest building. This is our applied research building. This is about 90,000 square feet of design spaces, state-of-the-art labs with faculty offices that completely border this whole building. So when you're in your lab, you can actually, if you run into a problem, you can actually go right across the hall to your professor, ask them questions, because they have that mindset to truly help and guide our students to the best possible outcome. And we also have new dorms coming. So if we have any juniors or sophomores here, we have new dorms coming that are hopefully going to be built by 2024. They've already blocked all the areas off to start that here. And we have phase 3 coming in 2024 and phase 4 coming in 2025. And our dorms are pretty beautiful. And it really does look like this, I promise. And we have grills, outside hangout areas, and a beautiful pool. It's very resort style. The dorm rooms are very spacious. Some of them can, you actually share a bathroom right there in your dorm. Some of them have common spaces, and you actually have in-house washers and dryers right there in your dorm room, which is very hard to come by in college. So very nice, very state-of-the-art. And these aren't even the new dorms that are coming. These are our phase 2 dorms that are already built and our students are already living in. So my guess is that the phase 3 dorms are going to be even nicer. But yeah, our students are also involved in many clubs and organizations. My best recommendation is to always join about 2 or 3 clubs when you first get to any college that you go to. That way you can have immediate study buddies. You can have immediate people to sit with at lunch or in the dining hall. That way you can really enjoy your college experience. The more you get out and get involved in your college, the better the experience is going to be. And so we also have our Student Development Center. This is going to be all things athletics. This is our junior size Olympic swimming pool. And inside of the Student Development Center, we have where our esports team meets, and we also have where we have all of our fitness center, all of our exercise equipment. So our powerlifting team meets here. And if you don't want to go running around the campus in the Florida heat, I get it. You can go lift weights and do whatever you need to do here in the fitness center. But we also have events all the time on campus. This is just one example. This is going to be our Florida Polycon. This is basically our version of Comic-Con, which is pretty exciting. Now, if that's not something that you're interested in, it's still really fun to get out, explore something new. And if this is something that you are interested in, please contact me. We actually have this event coming up for this year. And if you want to come check out the campus in real time, then feel free to reach out to me. This event is going to be happening on March 18th. And we do have like an RSVP link I can send you. So if you are interested in coming out and seeing the campus really busy with families and friends and every cool thing that's happening here, reach out to me and I can definitely provide you with that information. So for my juniors and for my sophomores, and maybe even if there's any seniors in here, write down these dates. Okay, so juniors, write down August 1st is going to be when the application opens. And then November 1st is going to be our priority deadline. Now, we will still accept applications after November 1st, but this priority deadline is super amazing because this is when we give out the most scholarships and the most prestigious award, like the prestigious scholarships and everything. So more money to help pay for college, all of that. And when you are thinking about, well, what am I going to need for my application? You're going to need a completed application, an application essay, an application fee, transcripts, and test scores. Now, letters of recommendation are strongly encouraged, but they're not necessary for like us reviewing your application. But we do recommend that you don't send in more than 3, so you can have 1 to 2 to 3, and preferably somebody like a math teacher or a robotics club teacher or science teacher, somebody who can attest to that, because that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at how strong you are in those areas. And here's just a little quick breakdown of our in-state versus out-of-state tuition. So I'm guessing most of us are going to be in-state here since we're all talking from Pasco County, and our tuition and fees is going to be about $49.40. If you have full-time Bright Futures, it is very common for this to be almost all the way covered. So definitely work towards getting everything submitted for your Bright Futures if that is something that you're looking into. And those additional scholarships can help out with the room and board and the books and supplies. So definitely take a look at that, weigh your options when you are looking into all of the different schools that you can apply to. Definitely take a look at what type of scholarships they offer, what it's going to cost, and really how seamless that process could be for you. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat and we can chat a little bit about that. If you are a senior, I need you to apply as soon as possible. Okay. Right now, juniors, you don't have to panic just yet. You have a couple of months, but August is not that far away. So go ahead and ask away with any questions regarding Florida Poly. I am happy to answer. You can unmute, you can type it in the chat, whatever works best.
I had a question. I know some universities require their freshmen to stay on campus. Does Florida Poly require freshmen to live on campus first year?
Currently, we do not.
All right, thank you.
Yep. And Angel, I am not quite sure about that. My boss knows those numbers. I don't. I only deal with like a small portion of Florida. I have like my certain territory, but I have like a couple hundred that I deal with, and I work closely with. So, as we grow as an institution, we're not FSU, we're not UF yet, where people are like, oh yeah, I know that. So we don't have those numbers at all. And we want to stay a small school. Yay, sounds good. That's super exciting. But we have maybe a couple, I want to say like close to 2,000 applicants, maybe. But I don't know what that ratio would be with currently accepted students, because we're still, working towards that process. Awesome. You're welcome. Any other questions? Feel free to ask, unmute, whatever I can do. We have a couple minutes. We have about 4 more minutes. All right. And did everybody fill out the QR code? Does anybody need me to go back? Did anybody join after I was?
I had another question real quick before I hang
Yeah,
up.
go ahead.
So if a student wanted to take advantage and do like the 2 and 2 pathway, is that something that they could do for Florida Poly? Because I know you mentioned earlier in the call that it's 36 hours versus the 60 hours.
So are you sort of talking about like a junior college type of situation?
Yeah, like if they wanted to do that first, within like an engineering prereqs, get that out of the way at that level and then transfer over, or is it discouraged because of the difference in core classes prerequisites that are needed for the AA?
Yeah, so we always encourage our students, a lot of our students do dual enrollment and take, a bunch of college classes, which is completely okay. Take as, it's college experience. It's going to help no matter what, if it applies to your program here or not. But something that I will say, just from experience, I was actually a transfer student myself. And it's very helpful to start off where you want to end up, because you could try to line the classes up as much as possible, but you're going to get the most out of it from starting somewhere that has small class environment, that has that hands-on learning. But if you do dual enrollment or something like that, my best recommendation is to take the classes that you're going to need here, so you don't have to pay for them here, because dual enrollment free. Everyone likes that word, but
so it would be just the classes, like those core STEM classes that they would need to, so they wouldn't have to do like English, psychology, things like that they would normally do for an AA would not be needed for Florida Poly.
So we do English, we do, humanities, we do like a history. We do all of like the foundational stuff still, but we would just have to, get you a degree planner, and, line up those classes if you're doing something like that. And I lost my train of thought. 1 second. But yes, it's not, if you do an AA completely, that's 60 credit hours, that's not going to be beneficial all the way around. Like all those 60 credits won't transfer over.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, from what I know, I typically don't work with transfer students, but just from my experience, I would just recommend, if you're planning to go somewhere else, try to get the classes that are needed for that program at that school. But sometimes that college won't offer, if they don't have a degree for physics that needs physics, then they might not offer the physics class. So, it's something like that. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions that I can answer? Awesome. Well, if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to email me. Give me a call, whatever works best. But it's been a pleasure chatting with you guys tonight, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.